Hi guys, welcome. So in this video, I want to talk about Scorpio Moon. So I was sitting outside for most of this afternoon and this morning. It's absolutely just a beautiful day today. Um, and I was reading this calendar. So I get this calendar every year. I've gotten it for the past few years. So it's the astrological moon calendar, and this one is the 2022 one, and it's has astrology by Chenka Sunderland, and artwork, beautiful artwork, by Fusia Miller. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. And it's so beautiful, and I get it every year now. And I was reading the introduction that it has in the beginning about some of the eclipses of this, well, all the eclipses of this year. And something really struck me about the Scorpio moon because it was talking about the total lunar eclipse of the 16th of May. So it's coming up in May of this year when the sun is going to be in Taurus, obviously, because it's the 16th of May, and there's going to be a Scorpio moon and there's going to be an eclipse. And I had to just highlight it. So I used these highlighter stickers that I have. So this here is something that I found so spot on, and something that I've probably been meaning to talk about for quite a while, and I just want to talk about it in this video. So it says the shadowy Scorpio moon reflects past experiences that must finally be left behind, however painful. And I had to highlight it because I have a Scorpio moon and I've read a lot about it. It's probably one of the positions that I've read the most about, just because I'm trying to understand it better in myself and it just what it represents in humans, if that makes sense. Like, I'm trying to understand the Scorpio moon because it is often difficult to have this in your psychology. And I was very inspired by what this said. So I'm going to read it again. The shadowy Scorpio moon. So it's talking about the lunar eclipse that will have the Scorpio moon. So it says the shadowy Scorpio moon reflects past experiences that must finally be left behind, however painful. And I wanted to talk about this in terms of just like what the Scorpio moon represents psychologically and how I've experienced it myself, and like what I've read about it and things that I think it represents. So I think the Scorpio moon, actually, first of all, I want to say this point that there are so many different ways of interpreting these positions, and we have different levels of consciousness and awareness. So a particular position can show up in a myriad of different ways depending on your level of awareness and consciousness, and how you are acting out a certain position can vary. So even like Sun in Leo can be very generous, and the person can be very generous and giving and wanting to express in order to give something to other people, or it can be a bit more like it's all about me and more like ego stuff, if that makes sense. Maybe that's not a great example, but I'm just trying to give light to the way that these positions can show up in so many different ways. And the moon in Scorpio for me is interesting partly because it does essentially represent that the person has some kind of things that from the past especially that need to be brought up into awareness so that it can be released. And so this text here really reminded me of this, that it reflects past experiences that must finally be left behind, however painful. So Scorpio moons can often cling to certain things that have happened in the past, maybe some traumatic experiences, or scary memories or traumatic memories. I have a lot of memories that I would just think about in my day-to-day life. Like literally, I'll be washing dishes and I'll remember something that happened, or something that I did or someone did or I said or someone said. And I think the idea of having a Scorpio moon is partly to be involved in the releasing of these things. And I think it's important to understand that just because you came into this life, if we want to use those terms, personally, I think it makes sense when we're talking about astrology. So if we came into this life with a Scorpio moon and we have to release certain past experiences and memories, having that imprint in your body, in your soul, in your karma, in your life, it doesn't that itself doesn't show how good you will be at it. So I think it's important to understand that, like, if you have a Scorpio moon, um, it doesn't necessarily mean that this person is going to be good at digging deep into their own pain and their own past experiences in order to release it. It's also not going to mean that the person is not good at that. I think what it does mean is that whilst Moon and Scorpio people often are very, very bright about that and very sharp into digging into situations in order to release it, it just means that, like, having this Moon in Scorpio just by itself doesn't mean that you'll be good at it. It just means that, like, this partly made me understand this, is that, like, it just shows that your life partly has to do with that theme. It doesn't mean that you're going to be necessarily good or bad at that theme, but that theme is a part of your life as a whole. So I have a Scorpio moon, and I'm often trying to look deeper into situations, but I'm not always good at it. Sometimes I will very much fail to release certain baggage. So I'm just kind of ruminating about it without actually releasing it. So it's like I'm just focusing on the negative side of it without that scorpionic positive side, which is like rising above it, I think Moon in Scorpio has so much to do with having certain deep, dark experiences and certain memories and maybe some traumatic things happened in the past that you have to face up to and release. You have to, like, look it straight in the face and somehow find ways to make peace with it so that you can become a better human being. Honestly, like, it's about rising above it and becoming empowered by that. I think Scorpio a lot of times has to do with being empowered. But whatever position you have astrologically, it doesn't show your level of consciousness. It just shows the theme of that planet, for example. So Sun in Leo shows that you have the Leo themes being expressed through your sun, through your ego, through your behavior. But it doesn't mean that you're going to be living out the positive sides of Leo or the negative sides of Leo or somewhere in between. And it can depend at different stages of your life as well. We're not always at the same level of health, so to speak. So I think with Moon in Scorpio, it just shows that the person is partly coming here to deal with facing up to certain pain and facing up to certain experiences that happened in the past in order to look it in the eye and release it and become empowered by it. And it doesn't mean that we're going to be that all Scorpio moon people are very good at that, or obviously it doesn't mean that they're going to be bad at that, but it just means that that is part of their life theme. And I just was really struck by reading that. I was really struck when it said, I'm going to read it again because I just felt like it captured it pretty well. Scorpio moon reflects past experiences that must finally be left behind, however painful. So, sometimes I will think about certain things that have happened and I will dig deep and try to understand it like a Scorpio, but it's not a very empowered Scorpio because I'm not allowing myself to grow from that necessarily. I'm not allowing myself necessarily to, like, see what the positives of that negative experience was or see how it made me grow as a human being. And that is exactly what the higher side of Scorpio is to become empowered by all that stuff, all that negative, dark, murky stuff that we went through. I think a lot of Scorpio moon people have certain, like, it's hard to explain because everybody has negative experiences. I think the Scorpio moon just had the kinds of negative experiences in the past that stuck with them. Like, they're more clinging on to the negative stuff. It's forming part of some psychological stuff that they're going through in the present. So the present has very much to do with the past, if that makes sense, a lot of times. But the beauty of Moon in Scorpio is to, well, I'm going to say it again, it's about empowering yourself and like rising above the negative stuff and growing from that and learning from that. So if you think of Libra, Libra is the preceding sign from Scorpio. So it comes before Scorpio. Libra is all about balance, the search for balance. I think Scorpio is not so balanced. I think it's like an unbalanced sort of extreme sign. But ultimately it has similar values in that it's trying to find balance. Like I know myself, even though I have a Scorpio moon and I have all these intense emotions and extreme emotions and extreme behaviors at times, I'm still looking for balance. I'm trying to go through all that extreme stuff so that I can finally find that that zen, you know, that balance. Maybe Libra finds it a little bit easier. That's their natural state. And maybe Scorpio has to go through all this negative stuff and all this more dark, murky waters so that they can also find that Zen balance, if that makes sense. Zen balance, you know, like maybe Libra is already there and maybe Scorpio just has to catch up to Libra, or is trying to, that Scorpio has to really face it head on. Scorpio has to face the deep, dark, murky waters so that it can become balanced. And I know from a personal experience, I've had so many times in my life where I have gone through even just some bad mood, for example. And then I'm kind of coming out of it and I feel like a new person just because I'm no longer in that bad mood. And Scorpio, Moon in Scorpio is very moody in general, can be very moody in general. So it's just like going through all these different extremes so that you can regain some kind of sense of balance and regain some kind of sense of yourself. And it's a very personal, I'm getting a little bit emotional talking about this because it's a very personal thing for me as somebody who has Moon in Scorpio and who has been somebody who has someone who has been trying to find out more things about Moon in Scorpio and trying to understand my Moon in Scorpio since I was like a teenager, I would say. So I'm trying to understand like why I seem to go through these emotional catharsis and emotional extremes more than, for example, somebody who doesn't have Moon in Scorpio and they have other stuff going on, of course. But I think that is partly the thing. I'm going to leave it at that now, but I think that is partly the thing with Moon in Scorpio is that we came here to release some past attachments, some past experiences in order to rise above it. And I think it's been talked so much, it's been talked about so much in the astrological community, so I don't know if I'm adding anything new to it, but reading this really kind of made me kind of, a light just went off in my head, like, yeah, that this is exactly it. And I've of course thought about it before, and I've read about it before. It's been talked about a lot with Scorpio and Moon in Scorpio, but I just wanted to make my own version of that video. Like this video has probably been made by other people so many times, but I wanted to just talk about like my perspective on it and like how I've experienced it. And I think all the people that talk about Moon in Scorpio being this way are absolutely right. And I just wanted to, instead of just nodding my head with when I'm watching videos where people talk about this, I wanted to contribute my own thoughts about this, because this is such a personal theme that I've watched videos about this so many times, but I've never made my own. Well, I mean, I've mentioned it in other videos, but I haven't made like one specifically about this. I don't think I've made a video specifically about the Scorpio Moon need to go through stuff like negative, dark stuff, or just crazy, chaotic stuff, even just emotionally, in order to grow from it, learn from it, and rise above it. And it is something that is just part of our nature, and it's part of our karma to do this. And I think that's another reason why Moon in Scorpio people tend to be diggers. Like we tend to look at information and like think, well, is that it? Is that really correct, or is that correct? Or, you know, I'm a digger. But it doesn't mean that I'm necessarily like really good at using that information and that stuff that I've dug up in order to like become a better person. And that's something that I'm always working on. And I think that's the beauty of Scorpio, is that, you know, yes, go and dig and find out all this stuff, but then use it to rise above and, you know, empower yourself and all that beautiful stuff that we think is cheesy, but it's actually true. And yeah, I'm getting very emotional talking about this, so I'm gonna stop now. And if you would like more content about astrology or psychology or thoughts I have in my head, please do subscribe and leave a thumbs up if you like this video. I am still doing astrological readings. If you'd like a reading, please email me at matothinks@gmail.com. I hope that's everything. So thank you so much for watching, and please look after yourselves. Bye.